Houston Texans 37, Jacksonville Jaguars 17. Texans taking it to the Jags at home. Both teams now 1-2. This game was a 9-point spread coming in, and the Texans, maybe one of the more surprising. There's two big upsets this week. This is one of them. Impressive win by the Texans.
First dub for PFF Bobby.
Yes, congrats to PFF Bobby, CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans. First NFL win, and it was a really good game by CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
the Texans
it was.
game.
No, it was a good game. This is another one. Remember last week, those like the adjusted score thing that we were mocking a little bit? Mocking and using at the same time. So what we can do here is as fraudulent analytics people, you and I. The adjusted sort of score information suggested that Jacksonville was actually the better team versus Kansas City, and yet because they just couldn't put the ball in the end zone, it wasn't reflected in the score. I mean, even just using yards in this game, like 356 for Houston, 383 for Jacksonville. And for the second week in a row, it's like, do Trevor Lawrence's receivers hate the guy or something? They kept screwing him over and over again until late on, like Trevor Lawrence then started adding to the problems by making mistakes. But like early on, he was absolutely dealing again. Tim Jones on the sideline couldn't get 2 feet down. It was like a replica. That would have fitted in perfectly with the Kansas City game. It was 4 of those, all of them in the end zone. So Tim Jones does it.
Calvin Ridley dropped a touchdown.
Right.
He dropped a touchdown on a perfect pass.
Yes.
Over the shoulder pass, and he also dropped a first down slant.
Right. Jamal Agnew hit in stride, catches the ball, then fumbles it away. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, there's only so much of a hole you can dig yourself before you're not getting out of it in the course of a game. And Jacksonville seems pretty intent on digging beyond that point.
Yeah, so look, Trevor Lawrence played well 2 straight weeks, and the offense has put up 26 points in those 2 weeks.
Now, he then comes over with a bad interception.
He has a bad interception, too, but I'm just saying, like, he played a comparable game to CJ Stroud, grade-wise. It's going to be 2 of the better grades this week for quarterbacks. The difference being Lawrence's guys pretty much caught the ball, and his interception, his bad turnover-worthy play was caught.
Right.
Stroud did have a turnover. I don't want to focus on the turnover-worthy play, but Stroud had one in there where he misread a linebacker. Stroud was fantastic, though, other than that. Going through reads, accuracy. He had one play that I thought was just great. You know, you have the play action with the quick hitter behind the linebackers, and it's often there in the NFL, but it wasn't on this particular time. And Stroud sees it immediately, resets his feet, and throws it deep out. Perfect for a first down. You don't see that often in the NFL anywhere, and C.J. Stroud executed it to perfection. I don't want Justin Fields catching strays again. The thing I was criticizing Fields for last week, I used the statement Fields doesn't look athletic in the pocket, meaning he's not going from 1 to 2 athletically. He's doing it in without a good throwing base. So yeah, C.J. Stroud did, however, do that. Right, he athletically moves from 1 to 2 and throws the ball with precision.
It's not as bad as my favorite stray of the week of Derek Watt catching one on Sunday Night Football. Just talking about J.J. Watt and you know the amazing work he did and blah, blah, now he's on TV. And then T.J. Watt and him wrecking the Raiders every time they put him one-on-one. It's Derek Watt, the other brother's not in the NFL right now.
Yeah. And Derek's out of football.
And it just moves on. It's like, dude, poor Derek Watt.
It was like J.J. and T.J. were like, hey, can you at least give Derek a mention on the show? You know, he feels bad. He feels bad. They're always talking about us. Sure, we'll mention him. Sure, JJ. TJ, we'll take care of you guys.
Imagine just sitting there watching that last night.
Derek Watt currently
sitting around with the fam watching the game and just catching a stray on the side.
Former NFL player Derek Watt.
Brutal.
Clearly the third best career of the Watt brothers.
Yes.
Anyway.
The other thing that was screwing Jacksonville in this game is special teams. You and I, not big special teams people, right? But the mantra is always, look, it doesn't need to be good. It just needs to not ruin the game for you. And Jacksonville special teams ruined the game for them. Blocked field goal, and then one of the most absurd plays you're ever going to see is a kick return.
So it's 17-10 in the Jags. So the Jags, the Texans go up 17-0. Jags they're coming back.
After the hole that Jacksonville have been digging. Dig. It's 17-10. We're still in this. And then.
So it's 17-10, third quarter. The favorite in the game is starting to make a comeback. We see this in the NFL a lot, right? The favorite, they're 10-point favorites, 9-point favorites. They fall behind, they come back, and they right the ship. The Jags are on their way to doing that. There's a short kickoff. Andrew Beck muffs it. The up man muffs it, picks it up, and then runs through the entire Jags defense, runs by the entire Jags defense for an 85-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
He's not the kickoff returner.
No, he's a fullback.
Yes. Now, Andrew Beck, my memory of Andrew Beck was back when he was at Texas as like an H-back type. He was a great run blocker at Texas. And team builder GM Steve, right? This is where it's like, man, I liked him as a run blocker 7 years ago. And look, he would give me a kickoff return for a touchdown because I appreciated his run blocking 7 years ago. That's what GM Steve was thinking here as he's running by everybody.
He run blocked for himself. He was like,
incredible.
I got it. I got both parts
He
of this.
outran everybody.
What a roller coaster that must have been internally for him, you know? Because it was one of those kicks where they drop it at like the 5 or the 7. They try and put it right in that zone of hesitation where it's between the return guy and the blockers, right? Just to try and create some sort of chaos. So he basically, I don't know who the returner was, but he like got in his way and was like, I got it. And then he didn't got it. He dropped it. You're like, oh no. Worst thing possible. Like, I have made the biggest screw up possible on this play. I got in the returner's way, I claimed the ball, and then I dropped it. I put it on the turf. That's like the worst thing that Andrew Beck could have done in this play. And then he completely redeems himself, Dumb and Dumber style, by picking it up and then housing the thing down the sideline, busting like 3 tackles along the way. Beautiful. It was like the Dan Connolly play, except he actually made it into the end zone.
There's no way he's like allowed to catch the ball.
No,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, you made the cardinal sin of, look, you're not allowed to do that, but if you're going to do it, don't drop it. Like, whatever you do, make sure you secure that thing and don't screw it up.
In baseball, you'll love this. When there's a pop-up in the infield, the pitcher is never supposed to catch it for whatever reason. Best athlete on the field, but they never want the pitcher to catch the ball. So when you were practicing these drills, we'd be in the middle of spring training, and this was the rep for the pitcher. They would hit a pop-up, and you just say, up! You just point, and then get out of the way. That was the rep. Like, I did 15 reps of ball in spring training per day, and like 6 of them were just up on pop-up day. You just point up, and you just never catch it. Just get out of the way. Don't catch it.
Do you even have to, like, are you pointing at the ball, or are you just saying it's up there?
Just to say it's up. Just look up. Just go.
You find it, but it's up.
Yeah. The third baseman's. Then they have the third baseman's going to come, running sideways over the mound to try to catch it, and that's better than having the pitcher try to catch it. That's how baseball's done it for 150 years. But it reminds me of Beck, who's never just like, get out of the way. Just don't catch. Just go block somebody. Don't catch it. And he's like, no, I'm going to catch it.
I'm going to hate myself for this, but why don't they want the pitcher catching the ball?
I mean, the other fielders are paid to be fielders and the whole thing. And I think at the major league level, the ball's up so high, you're not used to catching pop-ups as a pitcher. That is their job.
Well, maybe they could be if they spent that time catching the ball instead of just pointing at it.
It was fine. Ball. I didn't ask questions. I just if it's a little bit, if it's like more of like a little looper type deal, you can catch it. But like when it's really high up there, you point, you get out of there, and you let all 4 infielders run over the mound, trip over the rubber, and all that. It's somehow easier.
You're literally a walking embodiment of that difference between generations thing. Like millennials and zennials and whatever they've reached at this point, they always want to ask why. They need to know why. You're just like, I didn't ask questions. They just said point. I pointed.
No, it was good.
I didn't need to know why.
It was easy reps. Easy reps. Just do my job.
Yeah.
Do your victory lap week here. Tank Dell.
I mean, look, one of the touchdowns was a coverage bust and wide the hell open. But yeah, look, Tank Dell's good.
It seems like fast receivers get the coverage bust.
Get coverage busts?
I call that the Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills had 4.3 speed. Why was it all? You don't need 4.3 speed to be the beneficiary of the coverage bust. But it always seems like Kenny Stills is a big play threat. It's like he didn't beat anybody. He ran straight, faster than most people, but he ran straight. But that was Tank Dell on his last touchdown. Mm-hmm. But 2 big plays in there, 2 downfield throws.
Yeah, I mean, Tank Dell is a good receiver. Like, feed the man the ball. But more to the point, like that receiving core for Houston is good. I mean, Robert Woods, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, all 3 of those guys are making useful plays with this offense. That is not a bad trio for C.J. Stroud to be playing with.
I was impressed by Stroud overall, his accuracy, getting those receivers in the mix in different ways. From a Jaguars perspective, their defense had played pretty well for 2 weeks, and this was a disaster. I remember last year at this time, I think they were 2-1. They were coming off a beatdown of the Chargers. and it was like, oh, Jags are for real. Every time you think they're for real, they have a setback. The pass rush is still so inconsistent. Trayvon Walker, I'm going to call him out every single week until he starts to become a good pass rusher. They're so inconsistent on that side of the ball, much like they were last year. And now the offense is starting to let them down too. But again, I don't think it's Trevor Lawrence outside of a couple throws. Trevor Lawrence is playing well.
Yeah.
The receiving core is letting Jacksonville down.
Yeah, for 2 straight weeks, what was supposed to be a strength, that receiving core, has been the architect of Jacksonville losing games, honestly. Like, you could make a pretty strong argument that they should have won both the last 2 games if their receivers had simply played normal football and caught passes and didn't fumble the ball away after they did so. For Jacksonville, look, it took a while for Rashawn Gary, but the fact that Trayvon Walker hasn't changed and looks the same player as he did week 1 of his rookie season is a little bit concerning for this. Like, if you're drafting Trayvon Walker number 1 overall, the entire selling point was he's not there now, but he is the most athletic freak to ever enter the league at this position. He will become something. Well, he hasn't changed, so that's problematic. If he's going to become something, by definition, he needs to transform from where he was into something better, and that is not happening right now.
Yeah, I think, like I said before the season, Jags beat writers were concerned about the pass rush, and Josh Allen has always kind of had his ups and downs week to week. His ups are really high. They're really good, but he's been inconsistent, and I think that's where the Jags pass rush is, just very inconsistent, because if Josh Allen's not making plays, there's really not much else beyond him.
He was going up against the great Josh Jones, though.